Candidate John Doe hates small business and is against states' rights. Candidate Doe's short-sighted economic policy to raise the federal minimum wage will create inflation in the economy and leave American workers without jobs. When you take the ballots later this month, say no to Candidate Doe. John Doe is trying to assault the right of the individual states to make decisions for themselves. He wants to force each state to fall in line and do what he says. But that's not how our founders designed our Constitution and our country. The American people will not stand for this assault. Show John Doe what America believes in. Vote no for John Doe.
One of the problems with the federal minimum wage is that it's binding in all cases. In states with lower economic productivity, it might not be feasible for firms to implement such a high minimum wage. In many cases, raising the federal minimum wage to $15 leads to a more than doubling of the cost of labor for firms in states with a low minimum wage. States have the right to mandate their own minimum wage based on market conditions. More than doubling this minimum wage and raising it higher than any state minimum wage at the moment effectively takes this power away from the states.
American skill distributions will shift left due to an increase of federal minimum wage by more than 2 times its current value. Increased minimum wage will disincentivize young people from seeking a college education due to greater wages without education. This is seen in a decrease in the net present value of higher education. Lower college enrollment increases the uneducated population in the United States.
A minimum wage that outpaces inflation will result in even more inflation. If we were to adjust the 2009 minimum wage increase of $7.25 to $2019, it would be $8.70. Candidate Doe is proposing increasing the minimum wage to $15. While it seems like he's putting more money in the hands of consumers, inflation will cancel out this increase in money balances. Real money remains the same after the economy adjusts and inflation occurs.
When there is a single employer, or monopsony, a minimum wage can help workers. If the government implements an optimal minimum wage, monopsonist employers must hire at a perfectly competitive level. However, if the government were to implement a minimum wage drastically higher than the optimal, which would be the case with the $15 proposal, then a rise in unemployment will accompany the increase in wages. This is seen on the graph as the difference between L3 and Ln. The drop in employment from L0 to Ln in this graph illustrates the unemployment created by the minimum wage increase. In perfect competition employment markets, workers will lose jobs due to Candidate Doe's minimum wage increase above the equilibrium wage.
Raising the minimum wage can be economically beneficial where the labor market in question is a monopsony, meaning there is only one employer. At equilibrium, the monopsonist will underemploy and underpay because marginal cost is greater than the average cost of labor. A rise in the minimum wage makes marginal cost equal to average cost until its intersection with the supply curve. Forcing the monopsonist to pay higher wage can lead to more unemployment. Raising the minimum wage can also be beneficial if it stimulates consumer spending. The more money people have in hand, the more they can contribute to the community's economy and spark growth from a local level upwards via increased consumer demand. Lastly, a small increase in minimum wage could increase worker productivity or hours and decrease working. Higher wages increase the relative price of leisure compared to work, so an individual with normal and different concerns will likely increase hours worked as well as quit less with a higher wage, reducing turnover.
I'm Candidate Trickle Down, and I approve this message.